recording. This is Ryan.
Here we go.
Well, this seems as good a time as any, Mrs. Ryan, to ask Don how he pronounces his last name. It is McENERY. McENERY. And exactly like that, McENERY. Energy without a G. Fantastic. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Good evening. My name is Jay Ryan. This is Nicole Ryan. We are the Ryans, and this is It's Tonight's Show. Hi, Mrs. Ryan.
Hi.
We are here with Don McENERY. We'll be in here in a little bit. McENERY. Damn it. McENERY. Shit. McENERY.
Like energy.
You know what the thing is? I'm just going to say McENERY. Yeah, I'm just going to say McENERY. Like Fort McHenry.
Okay.
Except it's, I'm just for
like say Enery, like McENERY. Enery the 8th I am.
Yeah, I like that one.
He says Henry the 8th I am. Hello, Mrs. Ryan.
Hello.
Let's see. What do we have here? We don't have a whole lot of business today, but I'm excited for the conversation we're about to have.
Yeah.
It just kind of went a couple different ways in the pre setup there, and I'm just kind of jazzed. So, do you have anything to start, or should we just get right into viewer mail?
Get right in.
Okay, fine. Viewer mail. We have a package that has arrived.
What do we have now? This is exciting.
Thank you so much for everybody who keeps sending us stuff.
Seriously, it's like Christmas every day.
Love our clothes. This came from Rocket Tiki. Now, I don't actually even know exactly what these guys are or who these guys are or what they do, but we like all of their stuff. They like all of our stuff. They've got a very cool logo, which is right here. Here's these Mrs. Ryan, some stickers for us.
Thanks.
There's a bunch of that stuff. And we've got some Rocket Tiki Motorsports swag. And there's a bunch, Mrs. Ryan, so there might be stuff that might fit you even.
Cool. I like shirts that fit me.
Yep, large here. It's very cool. Thank you, guys. This is awesome.
That's rad, guys.
And isn't the logo kick-ass?
Yeah.
I mean, it's very us with our Polynesian flair.
Totally. I was going to say it looks a little bit like a sushi place.
A sushi place.
The logo looks like a sushi logo, like from one of my games on my phone that I used to have.
Oh, okay. From a place that exists already?
Yeah, from a game I used to play.
Like Sims or something?
Sure.
What game?
Yeah.
What game would it have been?
I don't remember the name of it, but
Fair
it was
enough.
a character in a game I played. Like Candy Crush or one of those.
All right, Mrs. Ryan. Well, that's out of the way. Thank you guys so much for that. We'll put some stickers up, and the shirts look pretty comfortable too, so that will be fun. Mrs. Ryan, we're going to get right into it.
Is there a question?
Allow me to zoom in and get this nice and close for you.
Really close.
What's going on, Mrs. Ryan?
Okay. What's going on today is that there's a New York Public Library in the Riverside branch that also loans out ties and handbags, which I thought was super neat for job interviews and stuff.
No kidding.
Yeah.
This is interesting.
I'd never heard of it. Have you heard of anything like that?
No, I haven't. And ironically, the closest thing I've ever heard to it, we just did right before the show. Only in that it's like, helping a Good Samaritan helping someone out.
Right. Mm-hmm.
There is an app, and I believe it's called, I want to get this right though. I believe it's called Be My Eyes. Yeah, that's right. It's called Be My Eyes. It's an app on the iPhone, probably on everything. And it's for blind people who need a set of eyes. They just press this app, it help, and then it rings to people in a certain proximity. Sometimes you could be in the same store or something if you're at a mall or whatever. In this case, I answered the call right before the show. This is the first one I've ever successfully answered, by the way. Usually I miss it and somebody else gets to it first. But it was a woman who was doing something, going to an interview or something, but she needed us to check her makeup. She had just done her makeup, and she wanted to know if her mascara was even and if her lips were bleeding. Lipstick, lip gloss bleeding. Yeah, terrible. et cetera, et cetera, et
I was
cetera.
so glad to be here for that.
And that's what I said. I said, we've done the right thing. I have my wife right next to me. She's going to check you out. And anyway, you got her all set up. And it was just a really neat thing.
It was the neatest feeling to be able to help someone over something so simple.
I rushed with positivity as well, and it was just kind of neat. Anyway, it seems like a similar thing, just doing good and allowing a service for people who are trying to, get their shit on track.
I got the same vibe reading it. I used to work with a charity when I had hockey people in New York, ice hockey in Harlem, I think it was called, and they did a lot of that kind of like training and blah blah blah. But I thought it was like another step that the New York Public Library was doing it. So I wanted to make sure if you have anything to donate. That sounded like a great place to usefully put
So that's the question. Is it actually the New York Public Library? It's just a different division.
It's the Riverside branch of the New York Public Library.
Very, very cool.
So super neat.
Yeah. Good one, Mrs. Ryan.
Yeah, I'm all about this today. In another good news turnabout, scientists are turning the Zika virus, that horrible virus that caused a lot of congenital problems for women and their kids if they got it.
I never really knew what it did, but I know it was awful for a while. People sure were afraid of it.
It's been around. It was discovered in 1940, so it's not new, but it was like newly in the U.S.
Rage a couple years ago, right?
It was all the rage a couple years ago because a lot of people more people were traveling to places where you could get infected, so it happened more.
Oh, I see. Sure.
But they've taken that kind of resurgence of awareness of it, and they're making it into a positive of using it to treat brain cancers.
Okay. I love it.
Glioblastomas and stuff that like people suffer from. So kind of like Viagra and heart medication. Like, it's neat. It's like neat to see the other side. Of
totally. You got chocolate in my peanut butter.
Totally. Totally.
Dating myself.
And that's all I'd say. Shark. The reason there's apparently, did you know the great white sharks are known to travel between Baja California and Hawaii?
I didn't know any of this, but I also saw an article that they said there was a new pocket of great white like a place where they just habitate.
Okay, and what I read, migrate. They go through there.
Oh, so it's different. Okay, maybe this is different. Let's hear it.
This was apparently the sharks migrate typically from Baja California to Hawaii, and it's called like the White Shark Cafe, this place where they're known to stop and eat shit all the time.
It all sounds so warm to me. Are we past that? When I was a kid, they were cold water fish. Is that not the case anymore? Because
I don't know.
Jaws 4, they all started going to Bermuda, and now they found that warm water's awesome.
Mario Van Peebles, they were like, let me get this straight.
Yeah.
Anyway, scientists couldn't seem to figure out why they would migrate there, and maybe for what you're saying of like it's warmer, they don't do it. They called this the mid-water zone, so it sounds like it's not typical. But so scientists following traditional ways of thought it was a mating thing, and they go
that
there.
That is a mating. Hey-o.
Ha ha. They go there because of the food that's there, which is it's a light source, like photoplankton and stuff.
Oh, I like that. The luminescence, the ones that all kind of light up and everything.
So they're going there to eat the fish that absorb and hone that energy from the light, and the migratory patterns align with the sun over the ocean there.
All of this sounds like far more evolved behavior than anyone on this land gives them credit for.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not just like they like that food better. Yeah. They're eating light, folks.
They're eating light weird. Energy.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So all of a sudden it's kind of... And by the way, they're also attacking humans lately, much more than previously. So, I mean, it's all seems to be...
There's more people in the water. Like, whatever. Like, it's all together. But super neat. Like, I
go to the abyss, and I go, the sea's had enough of our bullshit.
Oh, yeah. They're over it for sure. But, like, it was such a neat perspective to realize, like, sharks are there to eat energy and light and, like, not for anything else. So I will study that more.
Please.
A new technique, which is really just upgraded technology, but they're studying things differently, so to speak, whatever. Bungled that one.
No, I liked it.
But they show that the moon is actually electric. It's surrounded by a thin exo.
Do you have any, there's tons of conspiracy theories about the moon. Are you privy to any of them? Or do you subscribe to any of them? Let me back it all up. Do you believe we landed on the moon in 1969?
I don't know. I don't. Sure, but that to me says like, do I think the moon is what we think the moon is? Like, I don't know.
No, I was just backing it up. You know what I mean? Like, do you believe that we landed there?
Sure. Yes.
Okay. This is one of those things. I do too, but this is one of those things where I think it's both. You know, like historically speaking, like, oh, did OJ murder or was he framed? Well, I've always said both. He's both. He fucking did it, and he was framed. That's why the whole thing was convoluted.
Yeah.
Everyone's looking for one or the other. I think this is the same thing. I think we went to the moon. I think they took pictures on the soundstage. I think we found a whole bunch of shit out there that who knows. You know what I mean? Prove me wrong. Who knows? We're gonna go again.
I'm with you. I think this is neat. And to that point, I studied up on who got the SpaceX thing that I talked about.
Oh yeah,
yesterday.
the Japanese businessman.
He's 42. I, for some reason, in my head, thought he was like in his 60s and he was going to dole out opportunities. He's 42 years old. His name is Yusakaya something, and then Meizawa is his last name. He skipped on college, moved to California, and was a drummer in a rock band.
Wow.
That's his deal.
That's how he made $1 billion? I don't believe it.
No,
Something happened in the middle.
Then he started an e-commerce website.
Oh.
That was basically, it sounds like when we were kids, you mailed in like a penny and you got like the music, whatever.
Oh, Columbia House and all those back in the day.
It's a music.
BMG music.
Totally. And it sounds a little bit like that, but it was e-commerce for music albums or something. But that's how he made his money. But he smartly like put it all back into art. Like he loved art. So this SpaceX thing is like up his alley. He wants to bring artists of all kinds. Oh, hold on. There's one thing. Remind me. But he's bringing artists of all kinds. Shit, did I not write it on here? Oh, no. Painters, musicians, dancers, photographers, film directors, fashion designers, and an architect is who he wants to bring on this thing.
And a partridge in a
I know. It sounds... Listen,
I love it.
All about love today. He's got so much artistic expression in who he's bringing.
Good for you. You've got good vibes going on.
I'm bringing it today.
Fabulous.
His Twitter, though, and it was like in all these articles with like Elon Musk and blah, 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 is you suck 2020.
You suck 2020?
That's, yeah.
Is that a political statement?
I don't know. But that's the winner's Twitter, and it's how everyone knows him. So it's funny to me.
That's funny.
Yeah, because he seems like a rad dude, so I'm so excited to follow
Well, you
him.
should reach out and try to get him on the show.
I might. I might. I'm such a fan
Billionaire,
of all
going to
of this
space.
stuff.
Come on, stop by our dining room.
I can't wait. Probably be in California soon.
Was that the last one?
That was the last one.
And that's been What's Going On.
Dun,
Good
dun, dun,
job, Mrs. Ryan.
Thanks.
Those were cool stories today. Thought you did great.
Thanks. Coming around on this podcast thing.
Oh, you're the best. Hey, look, we're learning what we're doing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's the whole part of this whole thing.
Way fun.
All right, when we come back, we're going to take a break real quick here. When we come back, Don's going to be in here. We're going to talk, and it's
McENEry.
It's McENEry.
Yeah.
Did I do it right that time?
No.
Oh, shit. McENEry.
McENEry.
Oh, Enery.
Yeah.
There used to be an overnight delivery called Emery service. Do you remember that Emery back in the day? I'm going to use that. So I'm a little less disrespectful because I feel like a real. I feel terrible, Don. I hope that you don't feel disrespected by this. I feel terrible. I'm on some sort of mental block and I'm having a hard time. It's a what?
Lifelong.
Oh, I thought you said it was an iPhone thing. All right, we'll be right back. Don will be in here.
Tony.
More to come right after this.
think so? You think it'll make it?
I think it'll reach.
And we're back. That's it. We're here with Doc McEnery.
Don.
Now
Don.
you get the first name wrong. Well, it's nice to be with you, Mr. and Mrs. Rayon. I'm
Did
happy
I
to
say
be
Doc?
Doc.
You're off your rocker today.
Then he got the last name right. I believe. I was too shocked at the Doc that I actually didn't listen
McEnery.
to.
I heard it.
McEnery.
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 As
Got
Mike
that
Ivy says,
one.
McEnery.
But it's not a Mac, right? It's an MC.
Not a Mac, it's a Mick.
Thank you for being here. Welcome. We're very happy that you're here. Sorry about yesterday.
It was not your fault.
There's
one thing, that's what you don't like. I got here yesterday early, for people that don't know that. I got not early, a day early. I came on the wrong day. I thought I was early because I was a half an hour early.
My goodness, how prompt.
And but that's one thing you don't want. You go in someplace you don't know where you are, and you met the people, and they go hello, and you go, hey, it's Don McEnery. Who? Who's this?
I was expecting Doc McEnery.
Never mind. It's not. It's Doc.
The funny thing, I was sitting here at this desk, and we were just about to press readers, and I said, boy, maybe it's a FedEx, so I'll let him in just real quick. Otherwise, I wouldn't have taken it, and I bet you probably would have been not happy about that.
I would have. I had your phone number. Somebody would have answered.
Fair enough.
And that was hard.
Show business.
In the instructions, you go, just press 303. And then you get there, and it's like, so you hit call first, and then you thing. And so it took me 5 minutes. That's how early I was here, because it took 5 minutes to figure out how to even call
First
you.
time with a call buzzer.
I can't believe all this stuff. So you probably don't leave the house much, all of this newfound technology.
I do not leave the house, really. We were talking about that earlier. I don't. I could, even when I have something I want to do, by the time that rolls around, I go, I'm not going out now.
That sounds right.
Because I'm home all day, and I go, it's nice. I'll sit and watch TV with the wife,
What does your, but your wife, she works.
She works.
And not to say that you don't work, but I mean, she leaves the house to work hers. She leaves the house. She's an OTA. Can we talk about her? What's her name?
Laurie. Laurie.
She have that same crazy last name?
She does, but she knows how to say it.
Okay. Well, that comes with experience, probably.
But yeah, she works with autistic kids, occupational therapist, assistant.
I find all of that work very, very interesting, but also it's of value to the world. And how does your comedy work into all that? She seems to be like an interesting, and I'm asking for the same reason.
I don't think that comes up at all. She told me years ago, you should write something with an autistic character in it. It's going to be big.
This autism's going to be big. Mark my words.
But she was right.
Totally.
She was right. There's that show that's a hit, and I don't understand. The Good Doctor or something like. Did you see the show?
I've not seen
it's
that
like
one.
It's like sort of a Doogie
one with
Howser
Norman
with
Bates, right?
autism.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, he's on some spectrum of it. And I, you always watch the first show of anything if you're in the business. You go, let me see what's that's about. And I thought it was terrible. And then
it struck me as Doogie and House, like a mix between Doogie and House.
but right, except that House has autism or some spectrum of it.
He was on the spectrum,
and I thought it was terrible. And then it's been picked up, and it's a huge hit.
Wow.
And,
So
and they say that. That's another thing they do. Oh, the big hit on CBS. You go, and I don't know if it's on CBS.
What constitutes
but
a hit?
that's just them saying that. It's like, I just realized this recently. Like, Fox says we're fair and balanced, and no one believes that. But then CNN, they go, the most trusted name in news. They go, well, was there a vote? It's just like, that's something they made up. It seems to me.
They pull the lunch rooms in those buildings, and that's how they get
I don't know how they know that.
Who knows?
All right. Well, we should probably back up. You're here thanks to Richard Chasler, a mutual friend of all of ours. He's our most visited guest
Mostly
thus
because
far.
he's a deadhead? Because is that how you know him?
No, but it works out that we're...
Mrs. Ryan used to be a comedy publicist. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah? No, I did not.
Yeah.
Used to represent a lot of folks. Not Richard Chasler, though.
No, he was...
So that's funny.
No.
Isn't that funny? I don't know.
Not to me.
Yeah.
Well, has he ever been anywhere that, in a spectrum where he needed a...
Right, and I worked with different commercial people like Bernie Mac and Jeremy Fox. Like they were
people that need
different.
that kind of thing. They're out there working a lot.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. Well, how do you go back with Richard Chasler? How do you know that fella?
I must know him, and believe me, I don't know how I know half the people I know. And the other half, I don't remember their names.
But you're a creative guy. You can make something up.
No, I know him from New York. I know him from way back when on Long Island, probably from the beginning of the comedy thing. So either New York or the East Side Comedy Club on Long Island. So it could be that far back, which was 1979, 80 could be.
Wow. Okay.
And on Long Island, there was a club called Richard Dixon's White House Inn. It was a guy who looked like Richard Nixon, and then he got a little surgery done to look more like Richard Nixon. He was in a movie he was in the movie with the Ramones. The Ramones beat him up in a movie. Did you ever see that movie? Rock and Roll High School, maybe.
Wow, no.
But
that's
he was
another
in that.
layer.
I didn't even know the Ramones were in a movie, let alone where they beat up a fake Richard Nixon.
At a urinal and they come in and beat the crap out of him. I believe that's the scene.
Okay.
But this guy had a club, and you'll start like Eddie Murphy he was there, Jackie Martling, Rob Bartlett, all these people.
Is Jackie still working?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Come on. I just stayed at his house 2 years ago when I was back in New York. He owns a lot of property, but
he's
lives
a smart
right
guy
on
behind the
beach.
scenes. He acts like a jackass.
He was the first guy that ever had albums. I have all his albums and
Really?
never opened one of them. Because, I didn't
Well, you've
need
heard the
to
material.
for one thing, and I have a lot of his CDs, but I have his albums as well.
That's cool.
But he was the first guy to do it. And for a while, we all made fun of him. I mean, it was just like, because he wasn't. But then selling them, and then all of a sudden, that's merch becomes a huge thing.
All right, so Chasler probably from back then.
So back then,
but you're a New Yorker, and you started it. All right, so you're a writer, you're a comedian, you're
started out as a comedian. I wanted to be a musician.
Really?
What
Yes,
kind?
That's what I wanted to be, a singer and a songwriter. And
It's a tough thing to want to be, isn't it? Don't
Well,
you
I
have
went to
to
school for music. That's what I want, and since high school. I mean,
Whoa.
More like even 8th grade. And one night I had like the only panic attack I ever had in my life. I'm like lying in bed going, "Oh, it's not gonna fucking happen. It's never gonna happen. Oh my God, you're not gonna." And I really was in a thing, and I said, "You should be a comedian." And I go, "Huh? Okay."
Wait, somebody else said it or you said it?
I said it. And I was alone in bed.
To yourself.
And then everybody I told, including my mother, said, "Yeah, that's not a bad idea."
As in, like, this is a fit.
Like they go, "That's more." So that must say something about how I played. They go, "Yeah, that's much better."
Yeah, you're funny. That'll work. Good job.
So,
It is pretty quick to jump ship. Like, but you're singing your dream. And all that. No,
but
like,
I was
yeah,
also,
that makes sense. That's
but
good.
I had a job laying rugs. I was a carpet mechanic. I had a business putting in rugs and making a lot of money.
You're struggling following the dream. Not saying struggle
I don't
about the
know
money,
that
but like you
I
weren't.
I can't even say I ever followed that dream. I was in bands in high school, but never afterwards. But I wrote some songs, and I was sitting. I love play. I still to this day play. I bring my mandolin on the road. So
Holy
I have
cow.
Music.
One,
which
I
is
love
an
the
interesting
mandolin. That's an
story.
amazing.
Well, that's an interesting story. My mandolin.
Well, you should tell it when you come back. No, I'm just kidding. Do you want to talk about it?
Sure. I was working for Howie Mandel. I was touring with him for about a year or two.
Now tell everybody who Howie Mandel is.
He's a guy.
Okay.
And,
Known most famous for America's Got Talent nowadays, but when we were kids, he was a comedian
this was
who was on St. Elsewhere.
right, and this is before America. This is even before Deal or No Deal.
The
Oh,
suitcase
right.
show.
The
Yeah.
suitcase
Yeah.
show, which to me really.
Whatever.
It's St. Elsewhere for me.
Yeah, no, I remember that. I never really watched that show, but I knew that he was on that. But I also know him from being a comedian more
Yeah.
than even
Wonderful.
St. Elsewhere.
The
That
rubber
putting
glove
rubber
and the whole
glove
thing.
on his head and blowing it up.
Bobby's World. He's multi-talented.
He was huge from Bobby's. People came and unknowingly he didn't want kids at his shows because he's not clean.
No.
And people come, "Oh, he's Bobby's World," and he won't let kids sit up front. If there's a kid sitting up front, he makes them bring him to the back.
Smart.
So I was opening for him, and we
Well,
were
they're
at
so dirty,
Caesar's
those kids.
Palace. Caesar's Palace. This is when it was before it was even redone. So we're in the Circus Maximus, the big room, packed. And I get up, and I only am supposed to do 20 minutes. 25 at the outside. And they're the sticklers for that kind of thing. And I'm up there within 5 minutes. People are talking and making noise. I go, "Hey, please, I got 20 minutes." And then somebody goes, "She had a heart attack." And I go, "Huh? She had a heart attack." I go, "Somebody had a heart attack." And
Is there a doctor in the house?
So I sit to the back of the stage, and I go. So I look over and say, "Should I get up?" And they go, "No, you have to." I had to stay up there for 45 minutes.
Well, you're distracting the rest of the room, right?
Right, I had to stay up and stay there.
You're becoming the
Right.
distraction
And
instead
to
of the
this,
show.
To this day, I have no idea what I did. I have no idea what I said. I remember one instance where some guy in the back said, "You're an asshole." And I said something, and the whole crowd cheered me because, I'm just doing
And
what
she
I
dropped.
can. But I had to wait for the EMS to come in and bang, 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 and bring her out. She didn't die. And then...
So your record still stands.
Right.
Oh
I haven't killed yet.
anybody
I
doing
haven't
a
killed
show.
Yet.
I'd love
And
comedian.
so then after the show, I'm in the green room, and Clint Black, do you know who that is?
Yes, of
He
course.
comes up to me and he goes, "Man, that was amazing. I can't believe what I saw."
He's a showman too.
Yeah. And he was impressed. And I said, I don't even know what I did. Because I never get nervous being on stage, but that was kind of nerve-wracking because you can't really do your act. You can't go, "Oh, so I went to Catholic school."
Yeah, where do you go
So
with that?
give him last
Funny
rites.
thing about heart attacks. Wow.
So, and anyway, I had just gotten $70,000 from an accident my wife and I were in.
Congratulations.
Clear money, no taxes on it. And I had a mandolin, but a crappy one, and I was going to buy a new mandolin that week. And I said to him, I'm going to buy a new mandolin. He goes, "You don't have to buy a mandolin. I'll give you one." I go, "Fuck you." I go home in 5 minutes. I go, "Fuck you. You have to give me a mandolin." He goes, No, really. I'll give you a mandolin. I got to deal with Gibson. They gave it to me. And he gave me his beautiful Gibson mandolin.
Howie Mandel.
No, Clint Black.
Oh, Clint Black gave
Clint
you.
Black
That's why I
gave
couldn't figure. I'm like,
I
wait
was
a
in the
second.
dressing room, and Clint Black is a very good friend of Howie's.
and I understand all
he
of that.
came
but
up to me and said that was great. And
I
then
got all-
I've since learned that country musicians kind of do that. They like Johnny Cash gave Bob Dylan a guitar the first time. They give each
Really?
other instruments. So he gave me this beautiful, and I wouldn't have bought that mandolin. It was like over $2,000.
Yeah,
I'm not that good.
but you bring it on the road with you now.
Oh, I always do. I take it. I sometimes use it in my act if I have when I headline and do an hour sometimes.
Did you know and like Clint Black from his music previously, or
I did. It's the first time I met him, and then I went out and bought an album. And it's funny, on the way home, we drove to Vegas that time. On the way back, we stopped at the Cowboy Hall of Fame.
Okay.
On the way back from Vegas, you ever go there?
No? Is it
And,
in Prim or something?
I don't
Or
know.
Baker,
It's more in Baker. Yeah.
Barstow?
Yeah,
I'll hit 'em
it's
all.
More that way. It's on Roy Rogers Drive, I believe. So if you ever, but
right underneath the
and in
11s.
there, there's a cardboard cutout of Clint Black, and I go, "Oh, look, he's giving me a mandolin."
I know Clint Black not so much from his music, but back in the '90s when all this stuff was going on, he was a big friend to the talk shows. He was a great talk show guest. He
Yeah.
was a musician who crossed over very well. And if you remember, he was on the last Larry Sanders, or at least at the end
Oh,
of
yeah,
the
that's
tail
him.
end of Larry Sanders.
And he
as
likes
well.
comedy. He likes comics. I forget what show. He did some show where he was supposed to be funny on it. But he was a very nice guy. And then I've only seen him twice since then at Howie's 40th anniversary, wedding anniversary.
That's so
at his
cool.
house.
Are you friends with Howie?
I don't really
Casually?
see him anymore. If we saw each other, yeah, we were friendly. Yeah, I haven't done this now in, I guess since I started writing, so like 92 or 93, I guess.
But you still do stand up.
Yeah.
And you're doing cruises. Do you want to talk about that? Because I find it very interesting. I was actually fascinated by it. Mrs. Ryan loves cruises. I'm on the fence.
You would have to crucify me to go on a cruise
On your own, not working.
on my own, not
Yeah.
working.
Okay.
And it's lonely if you're on your own. Like if my wife came with me, it'd be one thing, but I like it. It's if you're not famous, if you're not anybody who's got a name, it's the most money you're going to make. You're not going to make that going on the road and being
Okay.
for a week.
Is it fun though? Like, is there a way to make it fun?
Well, I guess if you have a lot of money, you can go scuba diving and do all those things.
Do all the
yeah.
excursions.
I mean,
but
all
not
I really
like-
do, I walk. I go for walks, and I'll go snorkeling. But I'll just go to some roadside place for $20. You get snorkels for an hour. and
Totally.
go off.
I just feel like cruises are kind of a hotbed of you can people watch for hours, and as a regular person who writes a lot,
As a writer, yeah, sure.
it's like I could get lost in it because it's just fascinating. People are hilarious.
But it's
like-
long days, 24 hours of whatever, and especially when I go on a lot of them, I'm on sea 9 out of 12 days or 8 out of 12 days or something like that.
See, that's nuts. And I also thought you worked more often than once.
Yeah, so you're saying you're out at sea 12 days, and then you maybe have one night of work
I work one night on
Good
on
job.
on that one cruise line?
cruise line. You do 2 shows, an 8 o'clock and a 10 o'clock show, to about 2,000, 2,500 people, but then you could do the same 45 minutes because they're not coming back.
Right, they turn the room, right?
And not though they turn the room, it's on the one I do. People are much older because these people are on cruises for 100 days.
What?
They just live
At
on.
least 30
It
to
sounds
100.
like Wally.
That's a
but
lot.
they're on 100-day cruises. And then when you talk to them, they'll go, oh yeah, we're getting off this, and in October we're going to go on the African cruise.
Are these people who sold their houses and they're just traveling for the rest of their
they're-
lives, kind of thing?
Or they just kept their houses, and when they're home, they use them, and they're obviously all retired and have some amount of money.
Sure, yeah, that's clearly not a concern, but just it sounds like I don't know. It comes down to how you want to spend your time, right?
Lifestyle that I'm not the biggest fan of cruises per se. So, but I find them fascinating
But
and
Alaska,
interesting.
that's great.
See, I would do
And I
that.
went to Cuba. Who else? How would you ever else go to Cuba?
Cuba, really? How
I didn't
recently?
even
Yeah.
know this is
How
like-
recently?
March 16th.
Oh, my
I had to
gosh.
fly in on my birthday. The
Congratulations.
day before, on March 16th, and then it's the 17th, I got on a ship, and I had to fly to Florida. And I get on the ship, and they go, you have to give me $15 to $20, $75 for a visa. And I go, well, for what for? She goes, to get into Cuba. I go, I'm going to Cuba. I didn't know what they were even
That's
going.
crazy.
I didn't care where I'm going. And then people stand next to me, like passengers who paid to get on, they look at me like, you didn't even know. I was on
The
a
only reason they're
cruise,
taking
and
this one is to
you
go to
had
Cuba.
any idea? You didn't know where you were going when you got on a cruise. They don't know I'm a entertainer, but...
Gosh, that's funny.
But the bad thing about when I was in Cuba, I went for a walk the day before, and both of my big toes had big giant blisters on them. So all I did was hobble through Havana, to be alliterative.
Oh my god!
But it was beautiful.
And you went. I haven't been to Cuba.
Oh,
It's amazing. A lot of people from this generation have not
I've
been to Cuba.
Fiji, New Zealand. The first place I ever flew to do it was Papeete. The hell's Papeete?
I have no
It's
idea.
the
what you're
capital
talking
of. Like now, because New Zealand's in my head. I'll think of it when I'm not thinking of it.
Fair enough.
about. Cool.
I want to bounce around just because I looked down and I saw Bug's Life. Love the movie Bug's Life. You wrote the movie Bug's Life.
We co-wrote it.
Okay.
Also Hercules, the Disney movie Hercules. But yeah, that was
Who
one of
directed Hercules? May I ask?
Ron Clemens and John Musker, who
Okay.
did Aladdin and Little Mermaid.
Oh, wow.
And that was like the end of the end of Disney doing like 2-dimensional animation. Ron and John still do it. They did that Mowgli thing, not Mowgli, but the and I bet you it's from Papeete, the one that The Rock is in.
Moana?
Moana.
Something like that. That ain't it, but Moana or something like that. Yeah, the South Sea.
So
one.
not Moana?
I don't think that's how you say it, but
Moana, right? Is that the one you're talking about? But it's Pixar as well?
Pixar, Disney,
Disney,
yeah,
Disney,
same
Pixar.
thing. But yeah, maybe. And The Rock plays the god or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's it.
But,
So the same people. All right.
Yeah, and we got that. That was interesting. We got the Hercules.
Who was your writing partner? Do we want to
Bob
say?
Shaw,
Okay.
an old comic, who I remember. I met him outside the Improv in like
Not to be confused with Bob Shaw from Jaws.
no Robert Shaw, no.
Yeah. Okay. Different guy.
Or the set designer on The Wire and a lot of HBO shows.
That's
But,
right. You're right.
I met him outside the Improv in New York. We used to go 2 doors down. There was a stairway where you could go and smoke pot while you're hanging out. And I'm talking to him, and then I realized I knew him. I saw him when I was in college. I go, I remember, and I'm telling him his act. I go, I can't believe I saw you. And he doesn't even remember these things. And so we kind of went to the movies a couple of times, and he said, we hit it off pretty good. We make some. Why don't we write? He wanted to get out of being in comedy because
Okay.
at that time, he'd get off the stage and go, you were great, you killed, we want you back, but we got to pay you less money.
Yeah.
So it's the end of that boom.
Yeah.
And so we started writing, and then he's really good friends with Larry David. So he crashed on his couch when he first came to New York. And then one day we're in New York writing, and one day Larry David calls, hey, you guys want to run a Seinfeld?
Oh, that's how this came about.
Sure,
No
we
shit.
want to write
Great
a Seinfeld.
segue. All right.
Okay,
Hilarious.
pitch me some stories. And so we pitched him stories, and he goes, okay, that's great.
So you're still in New York at this point
Yeah,
with Larry
so we
David.
wrote
Okay.
it in New York, sent it out, and but the episode we wrote was called The Tape. It's the 2 stories where George gets stuff from China to grow hair,
Oh right.
to get his hair grow, and Elaine leaves a sexy message on Jerry's tape.
Jerry's doing a set in the club.
Right.
He leaves his.
Right.
He's recording the set, and she does a whole thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Both those stories are true. Larry and my partner Bob were both bald, and they were he was living in Larry's apartment, and they saw this on TV, and they got
some miracle cream, right?
That China does, and they call China, but everybody speaks Chinese, and they don't know what to do. And then one day the delivery boy comes with the Chinese food, and Shaw goes, "Oh, it's got all those scratches on it in Chinese." He goes, "Oh, you misspelled that," and the guy doesn't get that at all. The guy goes, "Oh, you speak Chinese?" He goes, "No, but do you?" And they bring him into the apartment, give him the number, and he calls China, and they get the stuff. And then Larry swears he lost hair. And the real Kramer filmed it. The real Kramer filmed
Kenny,
it.
yeah.
Kenny Kramer filmed it. But it smelled. And Bob said that, everywhere he went, just people would look at him, he smelled, and he decided to take it off.
That's
when
one
he got
of my
into
favorite
a cab,
parts of that whole thing is when they're all saying,
when he got into a cab, the cab driver looked at him, and
that's bad.
then you go,
You know that's bad.
It for that. And then the other story is my story, where I had left my tape in the back of the room, and some woman left was talking on it, and I never found out who it was.
Wow.
Never still?
And was she
Well, I'm not
actually
gonna ever
doing
find
it to you, or was it just at the table and
She was kind of like, yes, she was saying things.
she was coming on the table? Oh, that's so cool. What a neat thing. So do people know that story? I've never heard the backstory of that. That's very cool.
They do now.
Everything
awesome.
in sitcoms is based on someone's experience.
Yeah.
It's the coolest to find the real story, but that tape thing is hilarious.
Well, if you know the real players
too. I
too.
can only imagine how many tapes I'm on. Talking like a dum-dum.
Absolutely.
Well,
And I don't know-
Bob Shaw told me that because you never know this, but some comedians leave their tapes, and you don't know their tape recorders there. And sometimes you sit in the back of the room, and the guy sucks. and you note that out loud to whoever you're sitting with. And he did it once where it was all on there, and the guy came and goes, "Oh, thanks a lot for the input."
Oh my God.
So
who doesn't love a good critique?
so I guess it wasn't as bad as he thought, but really, the guy comes over and takes his tape, and I'm like, holy shit! But
That's real feedback, real talk right there.
but that got us Hercules.
So Seinfeld got you Hercules.
Well, that episode and
That
getting
episode
a
was nominated
nomination
for an Emmy.
and get an Emmy nomination.
Mention
and then,
that.
So Disney wanted to meet us when we moved out to L.A. and we went for Mulan, but they go, "You're not right for Mulan. We got this thing Hercules," and we leave.
That's not how you say that. I'm just kidding.
We didn't think, we just, I had to just blow smoke up your ass and stuff like that. But then they called us 2 weeks later, and they both that and a Bug's Life, they had a script. They had a basic script, and they hired us. They came to us for Hercules as punch-up. And so they give us a script, and we have to come back the next day to get stuff. And that was the day, there was a big rainstorm, and there was a blackout all over L.A. So we had to read these scripts by candlelight.
You serious?
Apartment. Seriously, we had
How long ago was that? What year?
The rolling blackouts?
After 92, so 92 to 93, something like that.
Okay.
There was a huge rainstorm, and we had we're reading by candlelight. All of a sudden I'm Abraham Lincoln here, punching up a script, and we went in, and I found more to do than just punching up. You don't connect these things, and your hero's doing this thing. He's not doing it selflessly. He wants to get laid. He's got to give up his life to get this thing. You can't do that. And I've been all
of a sudden you're translating it for them.
And I'm telling things, and they go, "That's great." And I go, "And we got some jokes too." And he goes, "Give me a joke." So I just opened the thing to one page. And it wasn't even a joke. It was a character called Thesaurus, who when anything happened, he'd have 5 words for
That's funny.
That's
I love that.
And they laughed, and we got, by the time we got home, we had the job.
Wow.
So, and that was great because we were there for 18 months. We had an office, so I got paid way more than I would have to write a script.
Beautiful.
It's a good
Through
LA
that,
story.
We got to go up to San Francisco to work on James and a Giant Peach.
Oh, no kidding. I remember
A
that.
little punch up on that. And then the guy that was the head of story, Joe Ranft, became the head of story at Pixar. And when our name came, it goes, "Oh, you got to meet these guys." So we went up there, and by the time lunch was over, we had another job.
Fabulous. So
And it's been all downhill from there.
I was going to say, it seems like you could have kept going there, but at some point you guys...
Well, for a long time, we did a lot of rewriting of scripts. So for 10 years, we had a good run.
There's nothing wrong with any of that. That's what I was going to say. It seems like you probably could have kept that going. Did you decide to do other things, or did you guys just split up? Or
That the relationship,
things happen.
things didn't work out.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why.
So now you're going to Vegas.
Yes, I am going to Vegas the 27th through the 1st. I don't know, the weeks, Monday through Sunday, and then Reno, the Laugh Factory.
Reno.
2nd of
There's
October.
a Reno
through
Laugh
the
Factory?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's the room? How's everything?
It's pretty good. I like it. It used to be a catch. It's at the Silver Legacy. It's at a really nice hotel. And it's a nice hotel that's hooked up. You can go to 3 different casinos without ever leaving.
Okay.
So that's
without ever having fresh air?
I go out for fresh. I love Reno because you can walk on the Truckee River. I'm a big walker.
Oh, wow.
And any place that has a nice walk. Tahoe, greatest place in the world.
I've never been to either one.
Oh, Tahoe's beautiful.
Everyone says.
Reno's not beautiful except when you walk down to the river and you walk along that. There's a river walk. But Tahoe is one of the most beautiful places in the world. But the drive home from Tahoe and Reno to L.A., one of the most beautiful drives I've ever been on in my life. 8 hours goes by like that. Goes by like, it seems like 7 and a half
What do you like
hours.
about driving? We have a lot of car-related stuff on this, so.
It's really the only time I really listen to music. I love driving except in traffic. I hate driving. I hate people. That's why I keep saying I hate people.
You mentioned.
And by that I mean people behind a wheel.
But you said you're an angry driver in L.A.
Yeah, I am. My wife thinks I'm going to get myself killed.
Yeah.
Are you? You know what I mean? Is that your?
No,
Okay.
because I can turn it off.
Okay.
And my temper goes like, and then I'm off it. It's like, so.
Yeah.
But
Same.
it's, here's my thing. When people cut you off without using a blinker, the thing is that this is why it bothers you. Because by not using it, they're not acknowledging you even exist. To them,
lack of respect,
you're
right?
not even there. And then what happens is you get mad, you come around, you curse at them and everything. Now you exist and you're the nut.
Isn't that right?
You wouldn't exist because they didn't see they cut you off. Now you're giving them the finger and yelling, and they go, "Who's that crazy motherfucker?" Crazy motherfucker's me.
How does that feel?
I could drive for 10 minutes and wish 20 people dead.
L.A. And you live in the hills.
I don't live that far up in it, so I could understand why people go. But here's another thing I do in the hills. I've learned when you're coming up those roads, somebody's coming the other way, stop and back up. You're going to save an hour of your life.
Of the whole.
Overall in your whole life.
There was a Larry David, that was a Larry David bit in something too. I love
Really?
that. Yeah.
Because you just do it. You make the decision, stop first, let them go.
Don't worry about
back up first. Because you let them decide what they got to do, you're going to get angry.
It's almost just get the hell out of the way.
It's just, I'll let you go.
Do whatever.
Look at you. What do you like? Where are you gonna go? Are you gonna do anything else? You seem like a fucking awesome creative guy who I don't understand why you're not giving us more stuff that we like. You know what I mean?
You mean
I like
now
Seinfeld. I liked
here?
Bug's Life.
Oh.
I'm saying yeah, that's right. Why aren't you a better guest? No. In general. So you
when
got
we
a
broke
head that
up, I guess I did a few things. I did some internet shows that didn't go anywhere,
Sure.
that Harry Basil turned me on to. And then I was doing some punch-up on the George Hamilton vampire movie.
George Hamilton?
Remember he played that vampire movie back in the day?
As in The Beatle?
That's George
Harrison. Oh, George Hamilton, Tan. I do remember.
Anybody's name?
Yeah, no, I have a hard time with that.
I'm terrible at names.
Are you? I used to be great, and somehow I turned 40, and then everything went out the window.
I do a bit on how I'm bad at names. I can actually forget your name while I'm shaking your hand.
Yeah.
Really?
And I'm going, I must have listened, but I didn't, obviously.
Yeah.
He didn't listen intently. He didn't listen enough.
I think that a lot about
I have people I've known for 20, 30 years, and I don't know their name. Hey, buddy.
McENERY. McENEry.
Doc.
Yeah, Doc. Ah, gee
Doc
whiz.
McENERY. Oh, I've gotten my name screwed up for my whole life. McENERY, McENERY.
What's the origin? Is there
Irish.
Okay. I guess I didn't need to ask that, huh?
I'm pure Irish. Just so Trump knows.
What is that? Is that a plus or a minus? I mean, you're a purebred. That's got to be a plus, but it's not from here. So.
Red Cross, it's a plus. They like my blood. I give platelets every once in a while, which is a commitment.
You're a giver.
People should give platelets, but it takes 2 hours.
Are you kidding me?
It takes 2 hours because they take it out and put it back in.
Are you serious?
Yeah, like you give blood, it's nothing.
So they take this out and then they scrape the whatever the hell out and then just give it back.
Yeah, they take the platelets because platelets help you
clot.
Yeah. And they can't keep it long. It doesn't last long. They got to use it pretty fast.
Yeah.
But it's a real commitment. But they have it set up where you watch a movie with headsets, and they got a big library of movies and stuff like that.
Is that important to you to do stuff like that, to give back like that?
Well, I guess because I don't do anything else.
This is my point, though. That's why I'm asking.
Here's my only altruistic tendency is every morning Ron Zimmerman sent me a thing years ago. You just click this thing and it gives animals an eighth of a bowl of food a day for every click. So for every 8 people, an animal gets a bowl of food. And then for years, I was just clicking the animal thing, but there are 9 other things up there. There's diabetes, literacy, Alzheimer's, autism. So now I do all of them. But all I do is check them. It's the first thing I do every morning when I sit down at the computer. I check those 10 things and then go to the comics.
So I don't understand what you're doing by checking them. Are you showing support somehow? Or you're
dogs
donating?
Get an eighth of a bowl of food.
So what is it? A website or an app or
feed
something?
People. Yeah, it's some website that gives money. How do
we sign up for it? What's it called?
I don't know.
All right.
I've had it so long. I have no idea what it's called.
That sounds like an awesome thing. Not unlike that.
And then I look at it on Facebook.
You
go, there are 100,000 people doing it, or 17,000 people. You go, well, that's a lot of people. So somebody's being fed.
It's like instant feedback.
That and blood, and I give platelets.
Building platelets.
But platelets also, Red Cross, if you're going to give blood, ladies and gentlemen, Red Cross has great T-shirts. They're not beautiful, but they're very well made.
Oh.
So
is that what it is? It keeps you clothed and warm as well?
Well, I didn't do it for the T-shirts, but they have very well made T-shirts.
I think I've given blood and gotten stickers before. I've never gotten
Jackie
a garment
Marling,
of clothing.
we mentioned earlier, he had these Stump
the Joke Man.
Stump the Joke Man T-shirts. And years ago, I asked his now ex-wife, can you just give me the name where I can get the T-shirts without?
I've always wondered what
she was insulted by that.
I've seen those shirts and I've seen the thing as well. What is the premise of that bit? Is it you do a setup and he does a punchline, or
if you can fool
like Stump
him,
the Band, obviously?
Yeah, like he knows every joke in the world. His house where he grew up, he lived in the attic. It's funny. I just read his biography.
Okay.
His autobiography. And I realized it's the first autobiography where I actually knew the person and know where he's talking about. I was in that room and at some of those things with him. It was very interesting. Basically as a book, it's just him trying to explain how great he was on Howard Stern that nobody knows. But that's another thing. That's Jackie. But he lived in the attic and pitched tall, the top of the house, the A-frame, and on a whole wall, and it's bigger than this house, longer than where we are now, and he would have this big scroll up there, and it was thousands of numbers, just a number. And you go, what's that number? And he'd tell you that joke. He knew every joke.
Did he really?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
I mean, he is an encyclopedia.
It is. He really is.
Yeah.
And I get his newsletter every month, and it's pages and pages of jokes. So I read them every month. And some I've heard 1,000 times.
Well, and I mean, yeah. It's definitely a quantity game. It's a numbers game. Do you even know who we're talking about?
Jackie the Joke Man.
Yeah, you do know him from Howard Stern way back in the day before Artie?
Yeah. Oh, I remember.
He gave me my probably best paid first gig.
No kidding.
He started every club almost on Long Island.
Really?
Yeah. He started Governors, and then they took away.
Governors.
He did the one in Melrose. Melrose. It's funny how I cannot. Melrose is here.
You got to get back in the game.
Sometimes just words just go right out of my head, but the brokerage in Melbrook. What the hell town is that?
I don't know.
Seriously.
I'm in Connecticut. I never didn't go down that often.
What's the club that's there on Long Island now?
The brokerage and
Governors not
and
there
Governors
anymore?
is big.
Okay.
But they're all now. There's 3 clubs. There's McGuire's out further out on the island, all owned by the same people.
Yeah.
The people, so they all, so sometimes you'll see, and the brokerage and Governors are literally 10 minutes from each other. Up the one.
Do people do both? Do they have them?
So you'll be on Friday at one and Saturday on the other, or
what I was
something like
gonna
that.
All right. Well, I grew up across the Sound then from you, and a fellow neighbor and one of my idols growing up was Gene Wilder.
Mm-hmm.
And our talent department, Jonathan over here, had mentioned that you did some work with Gene Wilder at one point. I'd love to know about that.
That was
I
my
a huge
first
fan.
writing job.
Really?
My partner and I's first writing job. We lived in New York. I was emceeing at Catch a Rising Star and doing stuff.
80s, 70s, 80s?
It's got to be the 80s.
Okay.
Yeah, totally the 80s. I started in 79, so. And I can't for the life of me tell you how I got this gig, but I'm trying to remember the guy's name. He's the guy who wrote the Devil movie, The Kid's the Devil.
The redhead?
Huh? No, the kid is actually the devil.
I'm out.
He's the son of the devil.
I can't
Damien, the Omen. Right?
Oh, wow.
But he also directed and wrote the Tom Hanks Sally Field comedy movie.
A Punchline. Well, it's hardly a comedy, but yeah.
Well, I'll tell you actually. This is all part of that story. So he was writing.
I love that movie, but.
So he created a show called Eligible Dentist. This guy whose name, for the life of me, I can't remember. But you could probably look it up on some device or other.
If
maybe
only we
there's
had
something
something
out
like
there
that
that
here.
could do that. And we got hired to be writers on it. And it was the first show we've ever done. And there were other writers. Marjorie Gross, who was one of the greatest in the world. That's Bob knew her, and I never met, but she worked on the show.
Carol talked
Tom
about
Leopold,
about her.
Tom Leopold is. He was a
Not personally,
consultant. Funny fucking guy.
We know his credits from Seinfeld and everything.
Yeah, and he was like a consultant on, so he'd come in once a week and make us laugh for 2 hours and
inspire you and move on.
$10,000 or whatever. And so anyway, this was Eligible Dentist, and Gene Wilder was a star. Mary Gross was in it.
I love Mary Gross.
What's her name from Wallace Shawn?
Again. Inconceivable.
Who's the woman? She was... Anyway, doesn't matter. And all these big people are in it. And so, but the thing was, it was Gene Wilder was a dentist in Rhode Island, and his wife had died. And, Gilda had just died.
Right.
Not just, but,
recently enough.
People remembered that.
Sure.
and he's just, it's a sad sack kind of thing. And he would see his dead wife and dance with her and all these things. But people were trying to set him up. That was the premise of the show. And then Gene came in one day, and I think I only met him maybe twice. Excuse me. What? I don't remember eating that. And he goes, "I'm not an actor. I'm a reactor." That was his one rule. And it was a terrible show.
It's true. It makes you do everything.
Maudlin. And they did a pilot. So there was a pilot. And it was just sad. It wasn't a comedy. And
I don't know how you could put the guy in the... I mean, you got to get the guy out working again to start his life up
so,
and everything, but I don't know
it
how
was
the
all
guy
about
makes
the
that funny.
thing, and so it was sad on that part. And then I don't know which
tragic.
part of this to tell first, but David Seltzer, that was the guy, and he had done the Punchline, and then I remember saying in a meeting in a room, in the writers' room, and I go, the only thing I laughed about, and he's there. And I didn't think I was, this seemed to come out as a faux pas. But I go, the only thing I laughed at in a Punchline, and this is true, the only thing that made me laugh in that whole movie was when the owner of the club, after the competition was over, the owner goes, "Okay, that's the show. The judges are going to tally up their votes.
It's
so
like the
free drink for everyone." And I burst out laughing. It's the only owner of a comedy club saying everybody gets a free drink is the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
and then Bob said to me, like, "You gotta go apologize to him for that. You can't. It was when I went in. I said, he goes, oh, that's all right. It's no problem." But so anyway,
see, I don't know. A comic saying that, it's a joke. I mean,
I wasn't joking.
I know that.
That was the only thing that did make me laugh. It was ridiculous. And so anyway, the show, Eligible Dentist, we had a pilot and didn't go well. And we were working on the second episode. We were probably writing ahead, but they were doing the second episode. Talia Thorpe,
the choreographer, famous
choreographer. Mick Thorpe.
Mick Thorpe
was upstairs at $20,000 for whatever amount of time she was dancing with Gene Wilder for this scene he has where his dead wife materializes and he dances with her.
She probably choreographed the scene too, I'm assuming.
Yes, she brought into choreographing. While that was going on, spending umpteen thousands of dollars, Warren Littlefield or whoever came in and pulled the plug of the whole show. But it was one of the greatest times I've had in my life. I lived in New York City. I lived on the east side of New York on 2nd Avenue, and it was in Queens, the studio,
right across
and I would ride
Queensboro
my
Bridge?
bike over the bridge every day and go to work.
Wow.
That's such a neat
It was a great time.
to think.
Was it Silver Cup? Is that what that was back then? That wasn't
It's
even
not
studio
Silver Cup,
then.
but it was
Kaufman Astoria, one of those.
Astoria Studios.
Yeah. A lot of cool places over there. Cosby Show, all that stuff in the old days. Wow. Gene Wilder. Do you think back on that ever? I mean, you said it was not maybe the most, but was it do you care about the people you've worked with in that way? Like,
yeah. Well, the fact that you
some
can
people
do
give a
that.
shit, some people don't.
The fact that I never did any. I never set my sights on any of that. And then you're working with these people, and sometimes I'm telling you, working at Disney and Pixar was some of the best times I ever had in my life.
Wow.
Working with those people.
The creative process.
Yeah, like you sit in a room. I sat in a room with whoever did the music for Hercules, the guy that wrote those great songs, and I had to tell him his song was a ripoff of a McCartney song. I didn't tell him. I told one of the producers or whatever.
You're leaking truths all over the place.
But I go I go this big part of this melody, and they pulled the song. They didn't never put it in the movie, but
Hollywood.
Whoa.
but what was great about it, this was my favorite part of working at those places. Like you have these pitch meetings and you sit around talking about stuff, and an hour or two later you get a pack of things of everything that was said. Like somebody's taking notes. There's writers assistants and they're taking the transcripts, and there's nothing worse than having to take your own notes.
Yeah.
You can't think and take notes.
No.
So you just sit there back with a cup of tea and say stuff, and it comes back and you go, I said that? That's pretty amazing.
I'm brilliant.
I'm not as bad as I thought.
That's pretty good. So there you go. You just got to make it to a certain level.
Yeah. I think that's the rule.
And then
careful.
All right. Well, we're just at the hour now. How about us? Is there anything you have for us? Have you ever? This is your first podcast, you said?
Well,
or first
you
official
pointed out
podcast?
that because Chancellor's wasn't official.
It was a couple years ago.
Yeah. This is, yes. Mike Rowe has a great line. He goes, everybody has a podcast. I was on the phone with somebody the other day for a half hour before I realized I was on a podcast.
That's pretty good. Do you know Mike Rowe at all?
Guy.
Not the Mike Rowe Dirty Jobs guy.
Oh, it's not that guy.
Mike Rowe, the writer.
The way you said it, didn't it sound like the delivery of previously on Deadliest Catch?
Mike Rowe's on Deadliest Catch?
He's the voice of the Deadliest Catch.
Really?
Yeah.
The Mike Rowe Dirty Jobs guy?
The same Dirty Jobs guy. He used to be the voice of everything.
No, that's a different Mike. Mike Rowe writes for. He's doing now the animated Trailer Park Boys.
What are you gonna do? I want to get you doing something so that I can watch your work and stuff.
Yeah,
do something. I'll do something. I need people to work with on my own. I'm not a self-starter.
Mm-hmm.
On comedy I am. I can write jokes and comedy bits, and basically even that, I just put ideas down and stuff. I was gonna try jokes.
You know what I'm saying, right? You know what I'm thinking.
No.
All right.
I was going to try jokes on you, new jokes.
You want to do some jokes?
Okay, now you
Let's
want
do
me?
it. Yeah.
Yes, please.
I'd love to.
I want to hear the joke.
They're funny.
I'll give you a camera 3 here. That'd be your camera.
Okay, yeah. Camera 3. Oh, there we go. All right. There's a lot of shows, Chicago shows. There's Chicago PD, Chicago Fire, Chicago Med. I'm pitching a new show this year, Chicago Pizza. It'll have a very thick plot.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's not the list. Wait a second. Oh, they always say misery loves company, but they never say how company feels about misery. I've been smoking.
You're not laughing loud enough.
The politics lately has made me. I smoke too much pot because of politics. Because Michelle Obama said, "When they go low, I get high."
Oh.
I don't know how men cheat on their wives. I know why. Now, my wife didn't get that. She didn't think that was funny. I wear a size 13 shoe. So you know what that means, ladies. There's a lot of room in that shoe.
That's good. I didn't see that one. That's good.
It's a new take.
Here's definitions. A hooker in Tijuana, the Gulf of Mexico.
Oh, no.
That's good.
Premature ejaculation, sperm of the moment. I read in a story the other day, said you should have done this with your what's going on. There's a church that's handing out condoms. They're giving out condoms at a church. What's next? Hand jobs on Palm Sunday?
Oh, my gosh.
That's most of them. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
That was good. You mentioned you were watching the Norm Macdonald podcast on Netflix right before this, and you just kind of ended it with all the jokes almost similarly.
Those jokes are fantastic.
His jokes?
Those jokes are so funny because, and especially when like somebody like Drew Barrymore, who I love him, but she goes, I don't get that. Yep. And he goes, I love that you don't get that.
Yeah. And he's like, but it'll kill.
But they're so funny because they're those like, no soap radio kind of things. They're just like crazy weird, but they're funny. Like
you like Norm Macdonald too, right? You're a fan?
I think he's so funny.
Yeah.
Like my favorite joke that I can remember, because I never remember jokes, is that I hate bodies of water, so full of themselves. Got a big ego. Take that, Lake Superior. That's not even.
She hasn't seen that episode
that's not
yet,
even
but that is one
the
of my
way he
all-time
did
favorites.
it. That's even a muddled version of it, so it's actually funny.
The person who delivered that joke was actually Jane Fonda, and that's on that episode anyway. And that I can't wait for you to. That's why I was asking what your favorite episodes were. Mine were actually Jane Fonda and Judge Judy.
Judge Judy,
which I did not expect either one.
As a. Who wrote On the Road? Kerouac, as Jack Kerouac said, comparisons are odious.
Yeah.
Like, what's the best of anything? You can't really tell. So they all made me laugh so much that I can't tell you which one was. I love the Billy Joe Shaver one because
You're a fan.
Nobody's going to see that. Nobody even knows who that guy is.
Yeah. That was great.
And he wrote Honky Tonk Heroes.
And I love that, and on a different episode, he's talking to Michael Keaton about it, and it somehow comes up, and Billy just Norm says, it's one of my best friends. And they just keep on going because
he
doesn't even think he thinks he's just bullshitting. Norm's being funny. And he's like, no, is he being serious? It's like, yeah, no, he's one of his best friends. It's his best friend. You probably don't even know who he is. Old country guy. Like
and
outlaw
Michael
country,
Keaton, though. The opening of Honky Tonk Heroes, go down evening sun, I did everything that needs done. How do you get writing better than that? Then it goes on, and it's even.
All right, Don. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Coming by twice, 1 appearance, 2 visits.
2 visits, but now I knew how to get here.
So next time
that was just a test run.
It's so funny. You were messaging me and stuff that morning and saying, hey, let me get your phone number just in case. And I thought, oh yeah, sure. This guy's really cautious. Whatever the fuck, and is what it is. Tomorrow.
Life talk shows.
Tomorrow, Mrs. Ryan, we have Angela Croft will be here.
I'm coming back tomorrow.
Good.
I'll just come.
Will you be early?
You don't have to let me in. Or
you know the way.
I'll just park.
Friday, Good Vibes Breakfast Club. Mrs. Ryan, I love you very much. Jonathan, thank you for everything. You have been a huge help. Now, I don't even know how much longer we're going to have you because you're taking a real job. All right, you're taking a real job, but we're still going to have you around a bit, right? Okay, great. Thanks so much for being here, Don. Seriously.
My pleasure.
That's awesome.
Don, just got Don
McENERY.
Right. He didn't say thanks, Doc.
McENERY.
Don. First
right?
podcast, good job.
McENERY the 8th. You don't know the song by Herman's Hermits?
Yeah, I do.
So you say Henry with an English accent, with a Cockney accent. Henry.
I find that it's whatever pops in first, and for me it's Fort McHenry in Maryland.
Yeah, but that's an H. That's more McHenry.
Oh, is that what the difference is? Now I understand.
And the bombs were bursting in air over Fort McHenry. McHenry.
I don't know what to do. We'll be here tomorrow, and hopefully you will too. See you then.
Trying to think of the song.